episode. This show leaves me speechless, honestly. And tonight, just wow. After last week's episode, ending on such like a WTF, like what the fuck kind of moment, this week, the whole last 10 minutes of it was just like last week. It was just so much going on. And just, I'm feeling really giddy right now. I'm really geeking out. So I'm just gonna delve into what I really enjoyed about the episode tonight. So, to start off with, going off what happened last week with Barry traveling back in time, like a day and a half, and him changing essentially everything. Not everything, but, like major events. Him capturing Weather Wizard because, I mean, like, up until the point where he traveled back in time, I was, like, with last week, I was curious about how he was going to stop Weather Wizard. And this week, like, because he knew, he ended up finding him right away, and he instantly, like, put him in the prison. It's nice that we're going to, like, Weather Wizard is still going to stick around, because it'd be a waste of the actor's talent if it was like a one-off kind of thing, and waste of a character because the Weather Wizard is, like, kind of an integral part of, the Rogues. And I was going to, speaking of the Rogues, first of all, the mention of the Rogues, and just Captain Cold, just such a good villain. It's funny because at first I liked him a lot, but I had reservations about him and how the character is being portrayed. But now, like, especially like the great scene between Barry and Cold, that was just wow. And it sucks knowing that Cold knows who Barry is, but at the same time, like I saw that coming. Some preview gave that away, like a while back, so I wasn't like too shocked to see him knowing Barry's secret. But now that they're both on, there's almost like a sense of mutual respect. Not really respect. There's like mutual agreement between the two about them willing, or like Cold willing to not kill anyone but still do what he does, and Barry essentially saying like do whatever you want, but I'm going to stop you no matter what. Because Captain Cold is a huge part of the Flash as a character, because other than like Reverse Flash, she's like one of his biggest villains, and you can't just like make him like a one-off character or anything like that. So to bring him on like this and have him again, like have a mutual agreement, like him Barry being able to can constantly like fight him and all that stuff like that's so great, and it really makes the show more interesting because we don't see anything like that on Arrow at all. It's kind of like what you're done, like whether it's like the season-long villain or just a villain of the week. Like they never have that kind of moment. It's kind of like once they're done, they're pretty much done, with the exception of like a couple characters here and there. But I thought it was really I geeked out watching that part. So many good things to talk about tonight. Like most episodes, I'm gonna go off my list here and talk about the many great things that I loved about tonight's episode. And going off of that, there's the great moment when Heatwave and Captain Cold come back and they take over the mob house and all that. I loved Heatwave when he was first introduced a few episodes back, because just seeing the dynamic between Dominic Purcell, or whatever his name is, from the dudes from Prison Break, seeing them both together, even though I only watched like one episode of the show, it's cool seeing that dynamic, like knowing that they have this history together as actors, and bringing that sort of relationship on screen. Obviously, they're playing two completely different characters, but it's cool seeing that. But tonight, I felt that Heatwave was underused. I mean, there's a lot going on, so I understand why they necessarily put like Heatwave in the forefront like they did last time they brought him in. So I mean, that's just a minor thing. Again, I like that scene with him and Nicole breaking into the mansion or whatever, like that. I really enjoyed that. As much as I'm really starting to freaking hate Wells, or Thawne, or Reverse Flash, Tom Cavanaugh as Wells makes you believe that he's a kind-hearted person, for the most part. And seeing him and how he interacts with Barry, and especially with Cisco, he's just... He comes off as a nice guy. Like, it shows that the actor is really good at his job, Because to me, it doesn't take a whole lot. Excuse me, like too lot. It doesn't take a whole lot to really convince me of feelings, especially when it comes to acting. Like I get that off right away. But sometimes like when an actor goes above and beyond, you know, and it makes you really feel it, like, and like makes you believe that these two people exist, and there's like that those deep connections and feelings between people. Like that's how I feel with the show with Tom Cavanaugh, what he brings to the character of Harrison Wells / Eobard Thawne, whatever. He brings this three-dimensionalness, if that's even a word, that a lot of characters, especially in these comic book shows, don't necessarily have. And having these moments with Barry and Cisco, and just showing how much he cares for them, but at the same time being a psychopath, like, it blows me away. And it's something that week after week I'm being shown why I love this character, why I hate this character, for all the right reasons. And having his moments, with Barry, discussing the whole time thing, and just, and then the whole thing with Cisco. And okay, in all honesty, was I the only one who was worried for Cisco's safety when Wells brought him into that room where the containment thing, where they had reverse flash? Was I the only one that was scared? Because as soon as I saw that, I'm like, oh shit, he better not kill Cisco again. I cannot handle that. It's funny because I was watching that with my little brother, like that the scene from last week, and he cried when Wells killed Cisco. My little brother was crying, and he never cries at TV shows or movies or anything. My little brother loves Cisco, and when he died, my little brother cried, and it was so cute. It was so sad too. And then when my brother found out that Cisco didn't really die, he was all happy and stuff. And obviously, so because of what happened last week, I was worried that something was going to happen, whether he was going to reveal himself again or kill Cisco again. Seeing again, what he brings to the Harrison Wells character, makes you believe that he deeply cares for Cisco, even though again these people don't exist. Seeing that makes me as an audience member, as a fan, it makes me love the show more because he gives a believable performance. And Carlos Valdez, the guy who plays Cisco, he's been bringing his A again the last few episodes, and again he was a character who I didn't really enjoy initially. And now he's one of my favorite characters, other than Barry, of course. So, there's that. The whole thing between Cisco and his family, they didn't touch on it too much. They barely touched on it last week, and now this week, they really brought it to the forefront. I don't understand, Cisco's family, how they favor the son, Cisco's brother, over him, just because he was once musically skilled, and now he's living at home. I just don't understand the whole part of it. I mean, I understand they're trying to bring a little more backstory into Cisco's character, but to me, that's just something that doesn't necessarily work for me. And, I mean, I understand why, but it's just so brief, and again, there's so much going on in the episode that it was kind of forgettable. So, I mean, I understand why. Again, I understand why they wanted to include the backstory of Cisco and his problems with his family and his brother and the jealousy and all that. So, I mean, I understand why, but it wasn't. I can go without his backstory, because Cisco he's good enough as a character as it is, at least to me. And crap, there's a lot of, okay, so Snart's sister, who was played by Peyton List, who was on the Tomorrow People. She was in the Smallville, playing Lois Lane's sister. I liked her introduction into the show, but at the same time it feels kind of weird seeing her and her interactions with Cold, even though they're supposed to be siblings. It's really weird, because I understand that character's supposed to come off as badass and sexy and all these different things, but to me it's when she acts that way towards her brother, I think it makes me feel uncomfortable. It makes me feel really weird about it. So watching that, I didn't know how to feel. I mean, I guess she gives a good performance, and I hope seeing more of her soon. But that whole thing with her and Cold, that just made me feel really awkward and weird. No. But seeing her come in, and Cisco being forced to rebuild all the guns and making Golden Glider, that's what she called in the comics. Her character, Snart's sister's called Golden Glider, when she's given her gold gun, which it's funny because other than knowing that she's a villain in the comics and knowing that she's Snart's sister, I didn't know much about who she was as a character. So obviously, when, and just knowing her comic book name, Golden Glider, when they gave her the gun that turned people to gold, I'm okay, now that makes sense. I mean, I think it's a cool gun. I mean, it sucks how Cisco was forced into doing that and forced to tell Barry his forced to tell Barry's secret to Cold. And that scene when Cisco comes back and he's leaving and he's like admitting to Barry and everyone what happened. Again, Carlos Valdez, he's been stepping his game up, and when I see him now, it's like I feel for this character. He's doing such a great job, and I would probably say Cisco is now, other than Barry, one of my favorite characters. And just that scene, just seeing Barry going dealing with he's been dealing with, and then Cisco and the two like coming together, just that made me really happy inside. So it made me feel a little giddy. So yeah, other than that, it was just really and then the whole. I mean, there's a little more I want to talk about, but the whole thing with Iris and Eddie, like, of course, there's the whole thing about Barry telling Iris again how he feels and trying to reenact what happened last week, ultimately failing. I understand why Iris is kind of reacting the way she did, but the whole thing with Caitlin telling them it's like lightning psychosis or whatever the hell dumb name they came up for it, and they use a dumb excuse like, oh my god, we're glad you're getting help. It's like, come on, really? You fall for that crap? I find that beyond ridiculous. It took me out of the episode for a bit because as much as I love tonight's episode, that is so ridiculous to the point where it's like, as ridiculous as the show can be, they make it ridiculous in a way that's fun and enjoyable. That killed it for me. Not the episode itself, but just like that moment. I'm just like, come on, really? That's so ridiculous and so dumb. But I mean, like, whatever. Moving past that, having Wells kill the reporter dude who's working with Iris, just wow. That left me speechless. And now that Barry has his, like, once Barry's, like, at the end of the episode when Barry sees the dude on the channel or for the news or whatever, seeing that and then looking at Wells, and now he's like I believe, going to Joe saying, yeah, I believe you about everything about Wells, and finally, and now I'm curious as to how it's going to play in the rest of the season, especially with Barry and Wells working together. Now, how is that going to be? How awkward is that going to be? Whatever. I'm excited for the rest of the season. I've been saying that. These episodes have been really, really good. And I'm looking forward to next week. I'm looking forward to Mark Hamill coming back as the Trickster. I am beyond excited for that. So, until then, have a good one, guys.